Huh?
I moved rooms,
Oh,
playing musical rooms. Okay, I think we're good. All right, this begins the deliberations for the November 19th, 2020 Zoning Board of Appeals hearing. During this time, board members deliberate cases and take action by making a decision. There is no participation by the public or by applicants during this time. We will go in order of the cases as they were heard on tonight's agenda. So we will begin with case number 1, which is 1290 Lake Avenue, and I'll turn it over to the board for discussion.
Just opening thoughts. I know folks have some mixed thoughts on this. Jim, you want to start with some thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts are really quite simple. We asked them for more information. We asked them what it would be used for. And they did that. They had some meetings with the people who lived in the area, which is always critical to me. Mm-hmm. They talked about that they're not going to put it up and take it down every year, which is what came from the original meeting that we had in May with them. It seems like a pretty decent thing. Now, the only problem I have is I don't like the word temporary. And yeah. I was thinking if I was going to make a motion, it would be a permanent thing for me, with the provision that if they do move, it has to go away. I don't think we have to put 7 years in there or 5 years or whatever. That would eliminate the need for some kind of a temporary time frame. I have no idea how others feel, and I'm sure you're going to find out in just a moment.
So Johanna, if anything like that is discussed in terms of it has to come down, the variance technically is not like dead or doesn't go away, does it?
Well, this is sort of a unique situation, and we haven't done anything quite like this, although we had one on Culver Road that was somewhat similar. So one of the standards is that they have to establish that the benefit to them outweighs any detriment. And so the benefit that they're claiming is that they have this substantial need for storage for athletic equipment, and it turns out air conditioners, I guess. So, and that's unique to them. So, they're offering that when they move, they will remove and take down the storage building. And that's sort of consistent with if they move, there is no longer that need for storage, that benefit that outweighed any detriment of having the building. So although this is a little unusual, I don't think it's unreasonable to put that as a condition that if they did, leave the property, either sell it or lease it to someone else, that they will, and they've agreed to do that they will remove the building. So you don't have to put a time period on it. Right. So it's not technically a temporary one, but it's conditioned on something that they've agreed to, and on this fact that the need is unique to them, that they're the ones that need the storage, so not necessarily another tenant or another owner.
So a new owner couldn't come in if the structure is gone, see, look at all their files after they buy the building and look and say, hey, it's a variance on this property from 2020. They couldn't then reconstruct.
Well, they would have to come, I guess what we would argue at that point, we'd say, if you can prove the need for storage as well, you may be able to build a storage building too, but you'd have to prove, you'd have to give evidence that you have this need that outweighs any detriment of the building.
But it wouldn't be them coming to get a variance from the zoning board.
Well, if the building's gone, because these guys are
I get it. I'm just trying to think through different scenarios because I know this.
Yeah, I know, and these folks are saying they will take it down when they leave, and then it won't be there. And then if a new owner comes in, or they'll have to apply for a new variance, proving that they too have a need for storage that can't be met in the building.
Okay.
Can't we just refrain from using the word temporary and just go on the condition that we just discussed regarding?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's a condition that they will remove the building when they leave the property, because they no longer will have that property will have no need for storage unless a particular occupant proves it again. I know you're all a little uncomfortable with this. I'm not 100% comfortable myself, but I think this is not an unreasonable way
Yep.
to approach this application, given that the owners have offered to remove it. You're not imposing that requirement on them. They have offered to remove it.
So is that even a condition if they've offered to do it? Is that?
Yeah. I mean, I think you should put
Okay.
it in the decision. Otherwise,
No, yeah, no, I know that. but
you haven't documented that.
Yeah.
Any other comments from any other board members?
I'm just curious, what is the potential detriment?
Well, the detriment is the existence of a building that doesn't meet the setback requirements, the physical presence of a structure that is not meeting the setback requirements. And is there a real detriment to that? You know,
That's
I don't
something
know. That's something you weigh.
to us. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm good. with it. Oh, I'm sorry, Cora, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was just gonna say, I mean, I think most of us are on the same page.
Yeah.
Exactly what Jim said is what I was gonna say. It sounds like temporary was the only thing that was kind of the hang up.
Yeah, and I
Take it
think
with you when
the
you
fact
go.
that they're not like in and out of it every day, all day, dragging in big stuff, I think that helps in terms of the neighborhood and things like that.
Yeah, my only real concern was kind of answered early on, was that they were going to have to do this like every year. If there was going to be the noise, and yeah, that would be a problem for the neighbors. But if it's up and that's it, then so be it.
Okay, so I guess we need a motion.
Your motion is included to be for the current user of the property, is that right?
Correct.
Yes. Jim, did you want to make that motion that you discussed?
Yeah, I was just grabbing my paperwork again. I dropped one on the floor naturally. All I gotta do is find it. I'm gonna make a motion to grant. There's no time limit on this. The condition is that when you prep moves, or if you prep moves, that they cannot lease out that garage. Well, let's not get too complicated. The motion is to grant with, how do I say this? Is offered by the owners, as offered by you, Prep, that if they move, the garage has to come down.
I got you. I understand.
I'll second.
Somebody could reword that if you don't like it.
Okay, so we have the motion, we have a second. Thank you. And I will pull in alphabetical order. Matt?
Sorry, Matt. One other condition
Sure.
is that they get a building inspector out there to approve the construction, because it's pretty bad.
Oh,
Okay, motion, second, and Matt?
I'm in favor.
Jim?
Grant.
Tyrese?
Deny.
Lorraine?
Grant.
And, sorry, you guys are all over my screen. Cora?
Grant.
Joe?
Deny.
And Holly?
Grant.
Okay, so the motion passes 5-2. Okay, case number 2 is 37 Wall Street. This is the driveway terminating in the side yard. As a point of clarification, the fence was discussed during the case. So the fence is not under review. The code states you can put a 6-foot fence in the side or rear yard. So as long as the fence does not go forward of the front wall of the house, it doesn't require any review. And based on what the applicant said, it sounds like it's actually not even going to be all the way to the front of the house. So there's no issue with securing a permit for a fence like that, just for a point of clarification.
So that's a determining factor. If that fence, if that gate was going to be 10 feet in front of the house, is considered a front fence?
Correct. So the way the fencing, it's actually the definition of yard. So the way the definitions of yard work, The front yard is defined as the area between the public right-of-way and the front wall of the structure. That does not include that open front porch. The open front porch is permitted to encroach in that front setback. So the front yard is measured to the front wall.
Thank you. I don't have any problem with this case.
I don't either. I think it's going to actually look really good. And it's, you know, the way that side lot of the next property is kind of adjacent to them, it kind of makes it fit really, it snuggles in there really nice. It's going to snuggle in there really nice. And there's not a ton of homes on the street either. So I didn't have a problem with this one either.
And that corner is so tight, like coming around that corner, thinking about having to deal with all of that.
Yeah, snowplow. Yeah, that.
And the sloped driveways on the other side of the street.
The only comment I have, I think Cora and Matt Simonis brought up two good points. That sidewalk leading from, the sidewalk leading from the steps to the public sidewalk, that's going to be removed. And I didn't pick up on that, so that was a good catch, Cora. And then this may be nitpicky, but can we condition it that they store their refuse cans behind the fence once it's built?
That's actually supposed to already be happening. Your refuse toters are not supposed to be stored in the front.
That's already a city thing.
That's an enforcement issue.
A lot of some of my neighbors, I shouldn't say this, never mind. Some of the renters hate me.
Go ahead.
Your life.
Some of the renters hate me on my block because I literally go and pull theirs to their backyard, and they just like, I
do the same
they
thing.
don't like me. It frustrates
They get
me.
mad.
I got a
get mad.
delivery sticker on mine when I did.
They're still up there 4 days after the garbage runs. Oh.
Yeah, my only thing was that, I mean, I definitely think that they need a driveway and I think there's plenty of space for it. It was just all of that cement with no greenery.
With no break
up.
Yeah.
And if the garbage cans weren't there, then they could put a little patch of grass in between the house and the driveway. Some kind of strip to kind of seal it in a little bit. I don't know.
And I'm okay with that, having a little piece of sidewalk between the base of the steps and the driveway itself, but there's room for a little greenery there. I don't know, Matt, is that something that we can just have the director of zoning review that?
Yeah, you absolutely could. Bear with me. I'm just pulling the staff report up again because I want to check one thing on the survey map, because part of what you guys are talking about might be regulated by the code anyway. Give me 1 second. So,
I mean, they could even do something as like that bush run they're showing on the opposite side.
so they can't go the driveway forward of the house from the front wall extending toward Wall Street can't be any wider than up to the side of the house. So it can't encroach over toward the porch or over toward where the concrete is. So if you're looking at the survey map that with the rendering that the applicant submitted in the staff report package, you can see they have it lined up with the side wall of the house and it can't extend any further over. So if you guys are talking about that area between the porch and the driveway, so it would probably be, I don't know, a couple of feet.
Not very big.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
little space where the garbage cans were.
Yeah, which is that area to the right of the porch.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the garbage cans are supposed to be behind the front wall of the house anyway, so.
So I guess we condition it with review from the director of planning.
So you're, and just so I understand, what are you looking to get out of that? I just want to make sure I have an understanding.
I was thinking maintain the sidewalk from the porch to the public sidewalk and keep that green space between the right side of the porch and the corner of the house.
Okay, hold on, let me catch up with you. Keep that green space.
And I'm okay with a little bit of a walkway between that sidewalk and the driveway. You know, you just cut through. I'm not going to expect somebody to walk around that green space, but they can do something with that.
And Matt, that fence that they're proposing that's already there, that fence is basically behind the rear of the house, so it can be 6 feet.
Correct, yeah, it can be right up to that front wall of the house, actually.
Okay,
It
great.
is the front wall.
Well, they did say in testimony it's going to be coming up towards the street another 4 feet, but it's still behind the front of the house. And I also, if I remember from testimony, that sidewalk that would be going away would become green.
Be what?
The sidewalk that leads from the porch going out to the road, that small sidewalk would be taken up, and that would become green anyway.
Oh, right. There's a cat coming out of your ear.
Joe O'Donnell mentioned a cat last time he was here a couple of months ago. So.
It's cute.
You want it?
Is it? Why? Are you getting rid of it?
You know, as an aside, my wife's email address a few years ago was mamacat12 because we had 12 cats. We're down to 1 now.
Oh.
Let's get back on subject.
Lots of people should have their own show tonight. Listen, so I want to.
Who would have thought?
So I understand the area where the toters are, the recycling bin and the green thing, which are in the pictures here, is actually concrete underneath. You're saying you'd like that area to be green. Is that right?
Matt, do you have your cell phone with you?
Me?
Yeah.
I can get it. Hold on one second.
I just did a sketch and sent you a picture on your cell phone in a text message. That's what I miss about not being in person.
Can you hold it up, Joe?
Joe, hold
Yeah,
it
can
up.
you-
Yeah, we missed your red.
I don't think you're going to be able to see it though.
Just hold.
Yeah,
try it.
move it over. We'll be able to see it.
It's backwards though.
Oh,
Oh, I
yeah.
understand. So you're looking to make a connection between, I understand. Okay. What about material for that? Just realign the concrete?
Yeah, I think it should just match what they're putting in as a driveway because that's a concrete driveway.
You know, that's only up for about a second. Could you put that back up again?
Yep, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just an idea.
Yeah, and actually, they could actually use the existing concrete and sort of, if you look at the photo, it would connect into the driveway because it goes off to the side. Part of it would be coming out, but what I think you're getting at is making sure that connection is there between the public sidewalk to the steps, which is typical for a city property, and then that connection over to the driveway.
Yep.
I understand. Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Any other comments or questions about case number 2? All right, I guess we need a motion.
And what we have on the table is a condition that the either the existing sidewalk connecting the public to the stairs remain, or they reconfigure it with the new concrete that they're putting in to match. Is that correct?
Yep.
That's correct.
That's correct. So since I did the sketch, I'll make the motion to grant with the condition that the existing sidewalk from the stairs to the public sidewalk remain, and they can make a small connection between that and the driveway itself. And the garbage cans go behind the fence per city code.
I'll second it.
Oh, go ahead. Who did?
Me.
Oh, okay.
Cora did a second. So we'll run down and poll. Matt?
Grant,
Jim?
Grant.
Therese?
Grant.
Lorene?
Grant.
Cora?
Grant.
Joe?
Grant,
And Holly?
Grant.
Okay, so that motion carries. Okay, case number 3 is 460 Buffalo Road. Got a little education this evening on a new topic.
Felt like I was in that science course in undergrad that I dropped out of the first day.
Now it's back.
Now it came back to haunt me all these years later.
I'm for it. I think it's a good
I
idea.
actually enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I bet you did, Matt. You were right in there asking those questions. It's like, Matt, you two better talk one-on-one about this. But I think it's great too. This is fantastic. And
So the story behind their original location is a building downtown, which is in one of the urban renewal districts, which you cannot request variances for certain things. So they didn't have a path to do that. So they have this second building, which afforded them at least a path forward, albeit an area variance. But that's why this second location came up as an alternative to the original request.
well, I really don't have a problem with it. It's so far back off Buffalo Road. It's such an industrial area.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually had a tough time finding the building. I had to drive around the back of the building. So I don't even think anybody's even know it's there.
Yeah, it's a really unique space where it's industrial and there's the closest residential is a significant distance away.
Yeah.
But those car lots across the street, nobody's looking at that turbine.
I'll make a motion to grant and to accept the standards in the application.
I'll second.
Okay, so Matt,
Grant,
Jim,
Grant,
Therese,
Grant,
Lorene,
A grant.
Cora,
Grant,
Joe,
Grant,
and Therese, what do you call Therese? Hiley.
Grant.
Motion carries 7-0. 460 Buffalo. 291 South Plymouth are the townhomes.
I
Any
don't have a
questions?
problem with these. I don't have a problem. I don't have any questions. I think he's very nice.
well, I'm glad that Matt asked the question about the parking out there. I looked at that quite closely. It would have been nice if we had a sketch that showed where the pavement would be to get in and out of those spots. So after Matt brought that up and the applicant was mentioning that people coming into that spot would be coming in off of one street and exiting off the other on Plymouth, which is one-way traffic. It made it a lot simpler. Also, Joel brought up a point about narrowing the curb cut on Plymouth itself, and that's a wise thing. Remember how wide that curb cut is right now, and let's get it down to what it should be.
Well, actually, I'm saying eliminate it because they're relocating that to the west so that
Yeah, that's right.
if you look at that,
That's what I meant, Joe. I mean, there's gonna be one curb.
Yeah.
cut. They get rid of the big
yeah,
one.
just get rid of that existing curb cut, make it green space.
I think they're required to. I think the Department
Yeah.
of Environmental Services requires it.
Yeah.
So it'll actually have to be, the curb cut would have to be removed, a new curb would have to go in on the street side, and then that area would be restored
Yeah.
to lawn space or any street tree or any other.
So no need for us to make a condition on it. Matt,
I don't believe so. Give me just 1 second.
Or do we?
Yeah, you don't need to make a condition for it. It will be addressed as part of him working with DES on relocating it. The other one has to get closed. It'll be required.
He's very.
It's also in the right of way, so it's not something on the private property portion. So DES regulates that anyway. But I'll definitely make sure it's noted, but you don't need to do a condition on it. Any other questions?
No, I was gonna say I'll make a motion to grant based on the standards submitted and the plans as submitted.
Second it.
All right, Matt,
Grant,
Jim,
Grant,
Tyrese,
Grant,
Lorene,
Grant.
Cora,
Grant,
Joe,
Grant,
and Holly.
Grant.
Case number 5.
I think the bottom line is that structure in the back is in horrible, horrible shape. Yeah, maybe there's a little bit of money available if someone wants to rehab it. If I lived there, I wouldn't want to rehab it. And the court brought up concerns about what would have happened if they could build another garage back there. What's it going to look like? Well, that's a different story. I don't have any problems with this application.
$75,000 to rehab that building, that's a lot of money.
Well, I think the degree of deterioration is substantial, it looks like.
Oh,
Very
no question.
substantial. I can understand why they don't want to do it and level it.
She talks a little bit about the application too, and no other remedy. I was just reviewing this in terms of keeping it. The original structure has been so greatly altered to accommodate cars over the years that there are very few, if any, historically significant features and original materials left to preserve.
Did she say it was originally at a horse barn anyhow?
Yeah, it would have had someone, she said there was like a bedroom, a bathroom, there was living quarters in it at one point from a very long time ago, obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
No feedback on this one from any property owners or neighbors of any sort.
During
The applicant did discuss with me, I know the question came up what her plan was. She talked about it a little bit, but the plan is to topsoil, seed it, and do landscaping of some sort. She mentioned a little bit about being concerned about privacy, although it's not in good condition, it affords her a lot of privacy. So I think she's exploring options for landscaping that can afford her some of the same benefits of privacy that the current structure is providing her.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion to grant.
I'll second the motion.
All right, we'll run through Matt.
While unfortunate, I grant.
Jim,
Grant.
Tyrese,
Grant.
Lorene,
A grant.
Cora,
Grant.
Joe,
Grant.
and Holly.
Grant.
Last case of the evening, 224 Croydon Road. This is the demolition and rebuild of an existing garage.
Can someone just explain to me a tiny bit about, I got a little confused with the clarifying questions about the height. So what's the difference between what it is supposed to be in the code and what they're asking for? Can you just like?
Yeah, I'll go into a little bit, and it changed a little bit. So the maximum height of a detached accessory structure is 15 feet for accessory to a residential use, but 15 feet is not measured to the peak.
Okay.
It's measured to the mean between the eaves and the peak of the roof.
Okay.
So if the eaves are at 10 feet and the peak is at 19 feet, you're at the midpoint between that. So 14 and a half or whatever the math comes out to be. So the height of it is actually measured by the roof style. So if it's a flat roof, it's measured to the very top. If it's a gable roof, it's measured to the mean. If it's a mansard style roof, it's measured to the first ridge. And the intent there is to get the average based on the roof style unless it's flat. So in a case like this, it's essentially, I think it ends up being like an inch or an inch and a half over for the height requirement, even though the peak is at 19 feet.
Okay. Thank
Does
you.
that make sense? The rendering which showed from the street showed like a gable. That gable is not actually part of the roof line, so that's not taken under consideration. One of the things to consider with roof heights are actually what you receive public comment about the uses. So the height of accessory structures, the intent is to maintain that they continue to function for accessory only and not become converted into something else.
So does the second floor on this one bring that into question or no?
Well, the applicant's not presenting that. One thing to consider, it's a good question, and one thing to consider in the public feedback you received is that while the applicant's not proposing this, if you're thinking of future land use, say this property owner sells it in 10 years, if the next person comes in and says, oh, look at this extra, 19 feet tall, I'm going to convert it into a unit. If the variance is approved with the condition that it never be used for any residential purposes, it really shows the intent of this board was that you approved it on the condition that that will never occur regardless of future use of the property. Whereas if it's just approved as is, yes, they're not proposing that now, but what's to say someone won't propose that in the future?
Because that was my first thought. Like, that sounds like an Airbnb to me.
Correct. So you can absolutely condition it. This comes up when you guys review third floors. If people say, oh, there's not going to be bathrooms or kitchens up there. So you'll approve it with the condition that, there not be a bathroom, just to keep that it's actually a bedroom for going forward. So something like this, yes, you could approve that it'd be some language like that the detached garage always function in accordance with the definition of an accessory structure, which is just to contribute to the care and convenience of the principal structure.
Yeah, but you don't know whether that will happen or not. I don't see why he needs 2 floors myself.
I'm sure it'll look nice. To me, it just feels a bit excessive.
Yeah, very excessive.
Well, keep in mind, you're only looking at like an inch.
Yeah.
So even though it's 19, you're not actually going all the way to 19. You're only going to that like 15 and an inch.
But how
So keep
wide
that in
is
mind.
it? How wide is it?
You'd have to check the
The depth. I mean, the depth, I can hardly even imagine it fitting in there from what from up against the fence and the other side.
Yeah, well, I mean, it fits. I mean, if you look at the survey map with the site plan, it was
It's a real
engineered to
surreal-
fit into that. Yeah, it may be tight, but yeah, it was engineered to fit in that space because they can't submit the dimensions.
Keeping in mind, there's no requirement for setbacks for
I'm sorry?
detached structures, right, Matt?
Say that again?
I said, keeping in mind, there's no requirement for setbacks for detached structures.
Not in the zoning code, in the building code only.
Hmm.
So there's no setback in the zoning code. for
I lost my,
detached. Yep, your internet's going in and out.
right.
Okay.
I'll say 2 things. The first one, based upon the size, I know there's going to be electricity in there, of course.
Yeah.
I was looking to see if there's any water lines going in there, just under the fear that maybe someday somebody might use that space up there for living space, but I didn't see any. The second thing is for this neighborhood, I'm surprised that I didn't see any opposition. As a matter of fact, there was a letter that was in support of this. So be it.
I think we got more comments for that fence 2 houses down than we did for this garage. That we approved.
Back when we had hearings in person.
Yeah, that may be a difference because I was surprised I haven't seen my friend from Parks Megs in a while. Parks and Megs in a long time.
Oh yeah.
See, now he's gonna be here next month. I just jinxed it.
Yeah, so that's one thing to consider. Certainly, conditioning it that it not be used for residential purposes does not impede at all with what the applicant is presenting. What it does is look to the future use for potential new buyers looking at it. It tells the story that this board approved that slightly additional height with the intent that that's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with that motion if it's put on the floor.
Other thoughts on that, if that's the motion with the condition?
I can make a motion to grant with a stipulation that the garage cannot be used as living space. That makes sense?
Yes, I'm put on
second.
language for that.
Could we amend it to include business as well? We don't want business to be operated out of there as well. If we're going to actually refer to the residential, do we need to refer to the business?
I agree.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll craft language that it be used only in accordance with the definition of an accessory structure, which will take care of exactly what you're saying, Matt, as well as what everyone else is saying, that it remain only for accessory to the care and convenience of the people living in the front single-family dwelling.
Works.
So we'll do that as the motion, if that's acceptable to the board.
I'll second.
Motion and a second from Tyrese. So we'll run through Matt.
Grant,
Jim,
Grant.
Tyrese,
Grant.
Lorraine,
Deny.
Cora,
No.
Joe,
Grant.
and Holly.
Deny.
4-3.
Motion carries 4-3. All right, that will conclude all of our cases for tonight's November 19th, 2020 Zoning Board of Appeals hearing.